Sup peoples, I'm going to be showing you fellas Linux tutorial again, but except this time what is different is I'm going to be using a laptop with Linux, with a non-Linux operating system. So what I'm saying is now is I'm going to be doing an external boot. I'll give you a brief explanation. There's probably more videos out there, but when I say external boot, I'm going to be booting a Linux, because this hasn't got Linux on it, so I'm going to be booting Linux off an external hard drive, 500 GB Western Digital hard drive. It's been partitioned into the Linux file system. You know how you got FAT32 or NTFS for Windows. Well, Linux has got its own. So what that means is, if I had put this in a Windows one and it loaded it up, it'll only come up with one partition, which is the 423 gigabyte NTFS partition. Meaning the other two partitions, what is the operating system partition, it's got the operating system on, and the recovery partitions won't come up. It'll come up in computer management, but don't play around with them, please. Anyway, to do this, I'll give you a brief explanation. To do this, you'd need an installation disk. Basically, I created the disk. I download the ISA files off www.ubuntu.com. Download the ISA files. Once you download the ISA files, use a CD recording image. Use a program that you can record images to disks. Basically, ISA is CD images, and you want a program that can put those CD images onto a disk, which I've done. I've already done the installation, but to do this installation so you can do an external boot, so you can put it on an external hard drive, the first way you can try is with the actual PC, which is a desktop, not a laptop. Try opening it up and disconnecting the data wire. You don't need it as much. Disconnect the power one for the hard drive, internal hard drive, just mainly the data one, parallel or serial, and plug in a USB external hard drive. Once you've done all this, start up your computer and do a boot from a disk and do an installation like normal, but except instead of coming up with internal, it'll come up with an external, and you can do whatever you want, partition it, or you can erase the whole thing and put Linux on it. But I've partitioned it. I've put it side by side by a non-operating system because I got stuff on here also. And the second one is you can go into your BIOS and disable it. I much prefer the first one because I don't like playing around with boot settings and all that. I've only set this boot settings once and I'm leaving it like this. So yeah. Now let's get into the system part. I'll put that away. Put that back on the CD drive. They won't boot up because it's not the first priority. Now we'll start this up. See, since it's already installed, it doesn't matter if I got anything plugged into here because it's already been installed, so we're ready to go. As you can see, the light's flashing now. It's just making sure that the files are repaired and detecting drivers, because what I'm doing is, since this is an operating system on an external hard drive, if I plug it into different computers, it's using it as a sort of a host. It's using the laptop itself as a host, and the operating system is running off this. So it's using the RAM and all that, and the CPU. So basically it's using the laptop as a host, but the operating system is running off an external source. So basically, Linux is thinking, I've made Linux think that this is the internal one. Okay? So Linux basically thinks that this is an internal one. Now this is not working properly for some reason. Hang on, I'll just see if I can quickly correct this. I just did a restart because it's just not, it's going alright, it's just had a bit of a problem. This happens sort of once in a while. This has happened, the last time this happened was about 3 weeks ago. So I'm just doing a reboot. It's just rescanning the files and detecting drivers and stuff again, so just bear with me. We'll see if this time it'll work. Yep, it's on its way now. See, it's detecting. You can see the light flashing because it's loading up on the external source, and it's pretty fast, to tell you the truth. Mainly probably when people think if you boot from an external source it goes pretty slow, but this one's actually pretty fast. So it's asking me for a username and password. Oh, well, no, it's asking me for not a username. It's got the username there, but it's asking me what account do I want to use. I've only got one on there, so I'll just put that there. Okay, yep. Now I've got to enter my password. And the good thing about this is when your sort of Windows crashes, and when you go to repair it, usually they format the whole hard drive and put Windows on again. So it's a killer when you got stuff on here that you want to get off before they do this kind of stuff, hey? Before they do the formatting and you lose all your data and stuff. It's not the one. So let's booting up. So it's just, it's doing the loading from there. So basically, see, this is all the, I didn't set this all up on this laptop. This has been set up on another computer. But what I was saying before is this is a Linux operating system, and this way can also be a savior. What I mean by savior is, you see, not just it's got its own on its own thing, but when you go to computer, you can also view the internal hard drive as well. Majority of the time they let you go in. I'm not sure if they do. Let's see. This time they'll let me go into the internal hard drive. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So you see these four partitions here. The fifth one's a floppy. The fourth part, the first two partitions are the internal ones, and the third partition is the NTFS one, which is on this hard drive. As I said this before, there's this hard drive right here has been partitioned, and the recovery ones are not showing because obviously it's used for recovery. But we'll try and go into the internal ones. Voila, that lets me go in. Now this is a savior, so if you know where you're going, basically, because these are the Windows, this is the Windows operating system, these are all the files. If you know where you are going, or what you are doing, you can also copy, sort of cut and paste your files onto on using this. Since your Windows is crashed, you can't use your Windows because it won't start up, obviously. And yeah, get all your windows, sort of go to documents and settings, go into documents and settings. You can go into, we'll just go into that, you can go into documents, and basically this is all the documents that's on the Windows. Basically if you go to start menu on Windows and my documents, and this is basically the documents. And yeah, so basically you can get all that, cut it and paste it into a safer location. You can either plug in another external hard drive, or you can put it on the space that's used on this, because there's a lot of space still on there, but that's an example. And yeah, you can do stuff like that. And there's one more thing that I'll show you. I'm not sure how this will act, just like what I told you before. This is using it as a host. So if you want to do this, what I'm doing is you're going to have to download a package called Compass Config Settings Manager. What I'm going to show you is a thing called the Linux Cube. And let's not go, let's find it coming out. Sorry guys. So we go to Compass Config Settings Manager. Usually you can go to Ubuntu Software Center and type it in. Compass is C-O-M-P-I-Z. C-O-M-P-I-Z, and then you type in space and then you'll say config, which is C-O-N-F-I-G, and then settings manager, and then it'll usually come up with that. You download the install, you type in your password, make sure you got an internet connection, which I do up there. Here's my internet connection, is a stick. I got the internal one, but it plays up, so I bought that. So basically we can do the cube. That's how you sort of activate the cube. I already got the cube activated, but you're probably wondering why I'm not using it. It's because I've set the graphics card to none, so when I put it on the new system it doesn't run slow or it doesn't crash, because when I put them on new hosts, because it's doing an external boot, so I've done this to more than one computer, I don't know how to act, so I don't want to sort of leave the settings there because I don't know how to act and it could crash. So I always set the graphics scene to none. So we've got visual effects. Now we've got none, we've got normal, we've got extra, and we've got custom. You see, I've already set everything up on the other computer, so we'll go to custom. So wish me luck. I don't know how this was going to act, but we'll soon see. It's searching for drivers. It's searching for drivers. And everything's loading from here, so basically it's pretty fast, to tell you the truth. It's not slow. It's like normal. Now there we go. Now it's asking me, do I want to keep these settings or discard the settings, or what it says, do I want to keep settings that I've previously made? And over here it says don't keep settings, and it's got keep settings. So what we want to do is we want to keep settings. We want to keep them. Yep. And now we'll see how this will work. I'm not sure how this is going to work, so we'll soon see. Yeah. Looks so good so far. Let's spin around. Oh, that's working fine. The reason why I said I don't keep these settings is because I've had a host before where I've kept the actual settings activated, these ones, and when I started up Linux it kept on crashing, so I had to stick it in another computer and disable these settings and then retry putting it in the other host, and it worked fine, but these settings didn't work in that host, so lesson learned. So basically what you're seeing is that Linux Cube with the 4 desktops. Linux has 4 desktops by default, but it usually just shows them in a sort of a normal desktop environment. This is a cube desktop environment, and with a SkyDome image. The image you're seeing at the back is me and a couple of my mates, and that's basically I've used that as a SkyDome image, meaning when I move the cube, this image is sort of come in 3D as well. And yeah, it's pretty good. And then see, we've got my normal desktop image, which is basically this, and yeah, and then you've got the other images, but basically everything is running off this. The internal system is not getting touched as long as you don't delete. Well, when you install on Linux, it installs an internal hard drive anyway. You can't install anything like Windows. You can go to browse and then you can choose your location where you want to install it. Since Linux installs in packages, it goes straight to the system. But you see, with Windows, you can also boot Windows off an external, but it goes alright, but it's sort of, it mucks it up as well. I don't prefer it. I'd rather just boot Linux off it. It's much easier. But anyway, that's a quick tutorial. A long tutorial actually. It's pretty long, I have to admit. But yeah, that's covers booting externally, and I hope you learned something. Sweet as. Cheers, Blatons.